G'day, folks. Welcome back to Mondays Down Under on the Talking Pools podcast. I'm Peter. There's Lee. There's Shane, all on my big screen in front of me. How you doing, guys?
Very well, Peter. Thank you very much for asking. And how are you, Shane?
Yeah, pretty good, thank you. How are you doing, Peter?
Doing well. One of those days where I'm running around like a headless chicken. Just day of meetings today. So I tell you what, I made a big mistake earlier. One of the meetings was in the city, and I used an underground car park. $17 for an hour and 15 minutes.
It's not as
Hold on
bad
a
as the
sec.
airports.
Can
well,
your tank fit into an underground car park?
Good
my
point.
truck does not. I looked at that on the way in. I'm about half a metre too high to get in the front gate, the front door. But no, I took the wife's car today. Much easier for city driving.
Yeah, my husband picked me up from the airport in Brisbane
Yeah.
when I was ducking out to do some coaching for someone interstate, and it was something like $25, and I think he parked in there for all of 10 minutes. It was just crazy.
There's actually a move in Perth to for the government to step in with airport parking charges. The problem is the airport is federal space, federal land, not state. So the state government can't really say a lot.
Look, I have to say now, having worked with a couple of Brisbane pool shops, I have a newfound respect for the city guys who are juggling these small confined houses on small blocks with really restricted access. Like it must be so hard to juggle access to pools, and like having to walk through people's houses to carry chemicals to pools. It's awful. Like, they don't really think about it. Actually, I don't think they think about it much at all when somebody architecturally designs a pool that takes up the width of the backyard on a townhouse or a small apartment, or however they do them, small house, small block. But yeah, access to pools. One, the access on the street for parking is really hard. Two, you can't get into the backyard. You've got to go through the house. And three, you're carrying those chemicals through. So newfound respect from me for you guys out there that are coping with that.
Yeah. I came across a design for a pool a couple of weeks ago, I guess it was. And it was quite funny. They showed me this plan, and the architect was saying how wonderful it was and beautiful. So you had the pool filled the gap between the house and the back fence, and you could access it from one end only. On the far end was a garden. And I said, look, with that, the only real option is plastic plants, fake plants, because otherwise you're going to have to get yourself an inflatable dinghy or something every time you want to go there to do any gardening. It was just, I've seen that a few times over the years. Just thought, why do you people not think about the practical side of things?
Good old architects. Practicality is not something that I think they learn at university.
Well, when I meet with architects discussing consulting on pool designs, I say it to them very clearly. You guys haven't done a swimming pool 101 unit at uni as part of your degree. We realise that. So I go on further to explain the architect takes care of the aesthetic, the engineer makes sure it's structurally sound, I make sure the pool works, and explain the basics of circulation, where equipment should be so it's accessible. Sometimes it just isn't. Right through to all that side of things.
Yeah.
That's not our topic for today, interesting as it is.
It's not.
Lee,
we have a habit of doing that.
Yeah, I know. Lee, at Splash, I believe you were asked a question by one of the technicians who was there.
Yeah, I was. We were having a chat about our podcast, of course, and this group were avid listeners. Thank you. It was actually Brad from Jim's who I was having a chat to, and I said to him, look, if you've ever got any topics, you know how we're always asking for topics, please let us know. And he said, look, I'm looking around this show and this Splash trade show, and I am seeing an abundance of robotic pool cleaners. Like, every man and his dog has their own version of a robotic pool cleaner these days. How do we choose one for our businesses? Like, how does a service technician or how does a retail store know which one to go with? How do they make a decision? And I thought it posed quite an interesting, question to us all.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, I need to turn my phone off. I'm sorry, it keeps doing funny things. Yeah, and that's a very big question, and we have to be aware of it.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't only go for robotic cleaners, it goes for just about any equipment. I mean, not a day goes by where I don't get some manufacturer from China telling me on LinkedIn that, oh, we sell heat pumps. Would you like to order some? Well, no, there's a lot of risk in that.
It's almost like somebody brings out a product and then after a while that product takes off and then every man and his dog tries to jump on the same bandwagon and bring it out with a few different bells and whistles, but fundamentally doing the same job, principally doing the same job. And look, I suppose I think about this from a Maytronics perspective, and I'll put my hand up here and say I was a strong Maytronics affiliated elite dealer. I was actually on their elite council, which is where they do have a member from each state as a representative to give them advice and assistance. And so I was on that council. Anyway, so I'm disclosing my background. And why did I like them? Well, I liked them because they were serviceable, but they were the original robotic pool cleaner. Maytronics have been out for, I think it's something like 35 years now. Could even be more. Could even be more. And so they've been around for a very long time now. Robust, able to be serviced. Yeah. I'm trying to think. The first one I think was called a Hustler. And I think it came out of actually South Africa, and Maytronics actually poached the idea, and I could be wrong. But anyway, Maytronics took it and ran with it. And I'm a firm believer of when you do something and you do it really well, and that's your only product line, you do put your all into it. And then you find other suppliers come on board and they might have pumps and filters and chemicals even, and then they add a robotic pool cleaner to it. So how good is that robotic pool cleaner when it's just one of many products that they offer, not their main line? So that was something that always came back to me. So Maytronics were my brand of choice because they were the original, because they had been tried and tested. Their original units were extremely robust and lasted many years. You could fully service them, pull apart a motor, replace a PC board or a drive motor within that motor chamber. I could do it myself even. And we did all our repairs in store. So that's what I liked about them. Now, I'd been dealing with them or selling them for over 15 years now. But probably in about the last 8 years, I would say, a lot of other brands have come on board. So we've got Zodiac have a very strong robotic pool cleaner line with several models. Astral obviously coming under that Fluidra banner with Zodiac now. But when they were a standalone company, they had their own robotic pool cleaner. Waterco had a robotic pool cleaner. I think obviously there's been suppliers that have done rebranded models, whether they be a Maytronic model rebranded under a different label, I think. Like
Pentair has their Prowler 920, I think it is. And yeah, that's a Maytronics one rebranded. And that I get. Rebranding it. And you see that across a whole range of items. Chlorinators are a big one. There's the same chlorinator branded under several different brands and supplied by various different distributors and pool equipment manufacturing companies.
Yeah. And I don't think that's such a bad idea. If that product is a really good product, you know you can get spare parts for it. It comes from a reputable manufacturer with a good reputation of products. Obviously, it makes it harder when one particular company supplies multiple different distributors under different labels. It makes it hard for the consumer and even the retailer to differentiate between the different models. That does make it hard. But fundamentally, it came down to me as could I service the cleaners that I was selling? Could I stand behind them for quality and product availability, spare parts availability, cost of repairs in comparison with the cost of the actual unit? Could I repair a motor as opposed to doing a complete swap out? Things like that were where I really made my choices. And this is where it got interesting, because with Shane and I traipsing around Splash as we did, we both end up having conversations with different robotic pool cleaner companies. And what did you find, Shane?
There was one particular company that I did have a chat to. I went back to them twice on both days because I was very interested in their product. It's a product that seems to be heavily marketed on Facebook, Instagram. You'll get it on a pop-up on Google, so it's obviously listening to me and it's putting all these pop-ups in front of my face. But when I was speaking to the lady that was there, I can't remember her name now. Basically, she was saying, this particular brand of robotic cleaner has exactly the same technology inside it than what every other one does. But we have a point of difference, and our point of difference is the price. So, okay. So as we start continue talking, it comes to that point where basically their point of difference was price, because it was basically branded as a consumable item. It was like a throwaway item where parts weren't readily available. I'm pretty sure she was saying these units get manufactured in Europe. Some parts are in Singapore as well, from memory. So you've got this this unit that if it does break down, there's nobody to contact in New Zealand. There's no spare parts in New Zealand. If you do have the chance to have it fixed, you're going to have to send it a million miles away. And there's a guarantee that they're not going to be able to fix it as well. So it's coming down to, I think a lot of companies out there, they're pushing for new products to come out on the market, but are they really a good product in that sense? It comes back to Peter's 5 points. The points that you make. So, I mean, nobody wants to buy a cleaner and then 12 months, 24 months down the line find out that you need to throw it away. It's a cheaper unit. It's half the price of Maytronics unit, but still, you don't want to spend another $1,000, $1,500 in 12 to 24 months on another new cleaner. So, in a lot of sense, I agree with you, Lee. You're a big Maytronics fan. I am personally as well. I think they're a fantastic cleaner. Their support in New Zealand is excellent. So, in that sense, I will always go towards Maytronics, but it was very interesting to see all these other companies. It was literally like 1 in 3 or 4 stands. There was a new cleaner, and the new cleaner is like, wow.
And they don't just have 1 or 2 models or 3 models. They have 6 or 8. It's like, really? It's just confusing. It's confusing for us as retailers and service technicians selling them.
The spa ones coming on the market as well.
Yeah. And there's ones that actually skim the surface of the water.
Yes.
And and I think that's actually cool. I think that's a good idea.
Oh, look, I've got customers where that would be gold.
Mm.
If they've got gum trees nearby, if they've got peppermint trees nearby, anything that drops a lot of debris, surface skimmer. Sell them a robot, sell them a surface robot, and beautiful.
Yeah, I think
But
there's a great market there.
Yeah, also a very big increase in the number of cordless robotic cleaners.
Mm.
They're coming a long way with mixed results in terms of quality and so forth.
I have to say the jury for me is out on that. Like, let's face it, some of these cleaners you put in, you turn on, it does its clean cycle, it then needs to be recharged again. So you've got to actually go out, pull it out, put it back on to recharge. Are people going to remember to do that? Are they going to be diligent? And I know there's the common thing of cleaners shouldn't be kept in the pool. They should be kept out of the pool anyway, so then they can go on recharge. I get that. But quite frankly, my cleaner lives in my pool. Yes, my pool is well balanced. Yes, my dolphin is in perfect condition. I haven't had any problems with it, touch wood. It's been in there for several years, and I don't take it out except for when I'm emptying the basket. But my pool is well maintained.
Warranty void. Warranty.
Hey, no. It's got nothing to do with what that is not in the warranty paper. The warranty paperwork does not say that it needs to be removed from the pool. It just says that the pool needs to be well balanced.
Yeah.
And I think we've all seen them. It doesn't matter about the brand. If that cleaner is left in the pool and the water balance is out, the chlorine is allowed to escalate, or the pH really goes out of whack, and that pool cleaner is in there for a long period of time, it is going to disintegrate. Yes, a pool cleaner that's kept in a pool is going to look faded, maybe wear a bit quicker, just like your car would if you park it out on the street instead of a garage. It is no different. So, yeah, but like I say, maybe do as I say, not as I do, as my father used to say to me all those years ago. I do say my cleaner lives in the pool, but I do look after my pool very well. So, yeah, comes back to that. I'm not a fan of the cordless because I'm lazy. Like, yes, I take good care of my pool, but I'm a lazy pool owner. I do it, and it's easy to me, but I don't want to go out and pull my cleaner out of the pool every day. I actually have my dolphin on an automatic program where it turns itself on at 8 o'clock every morning and cleans my pool for 2 hours. Works perfectly fine for me every day. I don't want to have to do that with my cleaner, pull it out, put it on cheap, recharge, and remember to put it back in the next day, or even a couple of times a week for the cleaner to work. I just want it to do its job.
With that, one of the criteria for a robotic cleaner is basket size, because I know people who have to they'll run it for an hour cycle, then they have to take it out, empty the basket. A, the basket might be tiny. B, they might have a lot of leaf debris, a lot of crap landing in the water. And they don't like working very long when the basket's cram-packed full of leaves.
No, and that's definitely how I used to. That was one of the questions that I asked people when I was selecting cleaner that best suited their needs. Because there is every brand, whether it be Zodiac or Maytronics, every brand has cleaners of different, or most of them, I should say, have brand models of different size canisters, whether it be a bag or a basket or a cartridge. So it's about picking the right model for each pool or each environment, and that comes down to good selling skills. So having a brand that has a variety of models to suit a variety of different situations, whether it be the surface of the pool or the leaf load that it's dealing with, is really important. But for me, as I know that's important on your list of 5 criteria when choosing a product, is about serviceability, being able to get those spare parts, being able to repair those units. I want a product that I can stand behind. I actually spoke to the same company that Shane spoke to, and I was told without a hesitation from the lady that I spoke to, and I assume probably the same lady that Shane spoke to, they don't have spare parts. And if it breaks down under warranty, it's replaced under warranty. And if it breaks down outside of warranty, yes, the pool owner has to buy a new cleaner. And I'm sorry, but that just doesn't sit well with me. When somebody's investing their money in a product, it should be serviceable. I want to sell a product that's serviceable, that I believe in, that I can stand behind, that I can repair. And I could not sell that to somebody and look them in the eye when they came back with a cleaner that didn't work. One, I don't want to deal with warranty. I want to sell a product that doesn't have warranty issues.
Yeah.
I want to sell good quality.
And also it's not just your own conscience. You don't want them going on Google, putting a review on saying this person sold me a piece of snot that's falling apart.
We're the face of the product that we're selling. We're the ones that have to deal with them. And like Shane was saying, with this particular brand, you've got to send it a long way to get it serviced. Because I did ask the question, do you service businesses? And the answer was no. They weren't interested. So they really do see it as a throwaway item. And that doesn't sit well with me from an environmental perspective. And I'm not a strong environmental person. Like, I'm not a greenie by any means. But we all know that the landfill rates in our country and in every country really is ridiculous, like absolutely crazy. You can buy a washing machine cheaper than you can repair it. You can buy a dishwasher cheaper than you can repair it. You buy a 60-inch flat screen TV quite cheaply these days. Like, it's just ridiculous that society is at this point, and the pool industry is no different, unfortunately. I would love to see our government step in and actually make some laws around this. They do actually make laws that state, and this is where it's interesting, because why does this not apply to this cheap pool cleaner? Buffer Zone Systems are the pool and spa industry specialists with a complete range of software for pool shops, service companies and commercial aquatic facilities. With more features and integrations than any other pool industry software, you really need to reach out for a one-on-one demonstration. Contact Buffer Zone today. They do actually make laws that state, and this is where it's interesting, because why does this not apply to this cheap pool cleaner, that a product has to have spare parts available for 5 years after it ceases manufacturing. So that means a product that's in manufacture, which these clearly are, that we spoke to, why aren't there spare parts available? This is an Australian consumer law.
Well, if there was a product that had no spare parts available, I simply would not sell it, not in a blind fit. No. The first thing, though, was selecting a cleaner. Let's say it meets all the other criteria. Like any pool equipment, the damn thing has to work. What I do for that is, when a supplier says, you should sell this product, if it's something I'm looking at potentially taking on board, I ask them, can you give me a demo one or lend me a demo one? Not big when I have to buy a demo cleaner or a demo piece of equipment. No, surely you've got one you can lend to me for a couple of months and I'll see how it goes. And I once had one robotic cleaner, forget its name, this was years ago. And every time it tried to climb up the wall of the pool, it'd do a backflip and spend the rest of the cycle spinning around furiously, sitting on its back.
On its back.
And it's like, it reminded me of a turtle on its back, just flapping its flippers around, not getting anywhere. And I thought, why the hell would I sell this thing? So look at how well it works. Test it. I like to test a product for at least 3 months, which is by the book. It's following manufacturers' recommendations. After that 3 months, if it's working, I find its breaking point. And I work hard at making sure it fails, just so I can see how much I can put up with. Because some of these pool owners don't look after their equipment. They leave them in the pool the whole time. They Probably never
Not
ended
pointing any
up.
fingers.
No need for that. But that's how the real world works. People will neglect their equipment. They will abuse it.
Mhm.
We've got to account for that to a certain degree. It's one thing to say, "Oh, your water chemistry's out there for your warranty void." Very hard to say that to someone, 6 months in, when their cable and their robot's perished.
Yes.
I have one customer bought a robotic cleaner. It was a very dark blue color. They didn't want us to maintain the chemistry or anything. They just bought the cleaner, and they called me out when the pool went green. Oh, I don't know, 6 months later or so. This dark blue colored cleaner. I'm talking royal blue. It was light grey. I don't know what they were doing with their chemistry, but it just leached the color out of it. I saw plenty of that same model to other customers, didn't have the same problem.
No.
So, yeah, in that case, well, yeah, you don't want service. You've got to maintain it yourself.
Yep. Interestingly, I did approach another robotic pool cleaning or big robotic pool cleaning manufacturer, distributor, whatever you want to call them. I don't believe they make them themselves, but they're made for them, which obviously there is a difference between a company making a product themselves and having something made for them. And I asked the question of spare parts and the availability of spare parts. And I did get the runaround. And then I got the lovely old furphy of, we haven't had many warranty issues or any warranty issues. We really haven't had they've been out there for a couple of years now, but we really haven't had enough issues to make us flag any problems or anything like that. And I know that's a furphy, because I know people who have tried to sell these particular cleaners, or have sold these particular cleaners. I shouldn't say tried, because they have sold them and they've had problems with them. So I hate being told bullshit like that.
Oh, everyone hates it. It's, I don't know, maybe they think we came down with a last shower, but yeah, we do hear that a lot from various suppliers. And trusting your supplier, both in terms of their ethics and trusting them in terms of their competence, are very important as well.
Yep. Yeah. So I suppose, to answer Brad's question, how do we choose? Well, obviously it's a choice that you have to make yourself. As you say, you have to have a good relationship with the manufacturer or distributor, whoever you're dealing with. It has to be a product that you've tried and tested and that you're happy to stand behind. Remember, don't compromise quality. You can always use a cheaper brand as a level to upsell from. So it might be that cheaper brand that actually brings that person in store, but then you could actually upsell to a more quality brand. But have a brand that you're prepared to stand by, that you're happy to put your name to, that you're happy to look at that customer in the eyes and know that they're going to be happy with that purchase when they come back in your store in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, and they talk about that cleaner, or you've got, worse still, somebody else in the shop that's buying a cleaner or looking to buy a cleaner, and they're standing there. You really want them to be able to say to that customer, as I had happen many a time, yep, best money I've ever spent on my pool. That's the sort of feedback you want about the products that you're selling. And also, you want to know that you can service it and repair it. If not you, that they have a great service center that you can easily send your cleaners to for repairs, or maybe they have a warranty agent in your area. If you're not the warranty agent, maybe they've actually got an on-staff technician, as they do in many of the capital cities, that they're happy to send out from the manufacturer to actually do the repairs. So there's those sort of things, but really do your research. Price might be what attracts somebody, but price isn't always the be all and end all. I would much rather lose a sale to a customer and know that I haven't sold them a crappy product that they're
Yep.
not going to like and not going to be happy with, than I would be to sell them that product and then have them be unhappy with me.
I've sold a few now since we've been in business, and I have to say that every client which has purchased one from us, they rave about robotic
Yeah.
cleaners, you know, and it
Yep.
just makes their life so much easier.
Mhm.
So I guess, you know, if these people are in that position to actually afford one and they do want to have a bit more of an easier life taking care of their swimming pool, it's certainly a good choice.
It's
to
an
make.
investment. It's an
Yeah,
investment.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I always
Yeah.
said. Mm.
So yeah, touch wood, I haven't had a negative feedback yet. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if either of you two have. I mean, excuse me, have you obviously been in the industry a little bit longer than me, but
Yeah.
has there been any clients which have come back and gone, oh, this probably isn't right for me?
Look, I can't say that there hasn't been any, but well, actually, no, I can say that there hasn't been any because I've always made the offer of if they didn't like it, that I would buy it back. I would take it back.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I never had to give them their money back, not once. I actually have had people buy more. So I had one fellow who bought one for his pool and came in actually to, if you can hear the noise in the background, it's my puppy dog who's just got very excited because she can see my son, who she actually hasn't seen for 3 months. So she's just getting a bit excited. But anyway, so yeah, this guy came into my shop and actually said to me he was there to buy a suction cleaner. Long-time customer, and he looked really unhappy about having to buy another suction cleaner. And I said to him, okay, well, tell me what you don't like about your suction cleaner. And he went, oh, well, it's always stuck in the same corner. And I go out and I go, how many days have you been stuck there for? Because the rest of the pool's dirty. It never reaches the whole pool. I'm always having to replace the hoses. There's always something stuck in the internals. I won't say what the internals are because that'll give away what brand it is. But
Yep.
anyway, all of those sort of things, he was just, and like, the fact that his pool wasn't skimming anymore because his suction cleaner was attached to his skimmer box. And I went, okay, now let me tell you what you should buy. And I told him all about the robotic pool cleaners that we were selling, the Dolphins. And he went, okay, I'll buy it. He came in to buy a $700 suction cleaner and he walked away with a $3,000 Dolphin pool cleaner. He actually said to my husband, when my husband actually delivered it the following day, put it all, assembled the caddy and all of that and delivered it and gave them a run through on how to use it. And the guy said, your wife is the best saleswoman I've ever seen. But to me, it was an easy sell because he told me what he didn't like about his suction cleaner. And then I had a solution to all of the above. Mind you, that same fellow, though, came back 2 weeks later to thank me because he said it was the best money he'd ever spent. And then 4 years later, when that cleaner was actually getting a few upgrades, it needed a new cable, it needed new brushes, it needed something else. It wasn't anything major, maybe
Wear and tear.
yeah, wear and tear. It was maybe $500 worth of bits and pieces for the entire cleaner after 4 years. And he said to me, don't worry about it, just sell me another one. And I went, are you serious? And he said, yep, best money I've ever spent. He said, just sell me another one. I'm giving this one. I'll repair it. He said, I'll give it to my son. So he gave the repaired cleaner to his son and he bought himself a new one. So I go like, that's the sort of experience you want your customers to have, regardless of the brand you settle on. Like, and everybody's all like, obviously I'm pro the brand that I'm pro, but everybody's going to have their own experience. But if you believe in the product you sell, if you can stand behind it, if you can service and repair it, or you know that it's easily serviced and repaired, then it's an easy sell to your clients. Don't ruin your reputation by selling a shitty product.
Yeah. When you were talking about that guy giving his cleaner to his son, different brand of robot, but I sold one to a customer 3 odd years ago, I think it was. And he was that happy with it that a few months later, he was doing his Christmas shopping and he rang me and he said, "Oh, can I have 3 more?" I said, "Hang on, 3?" He said, "Yeah, each of my kids have got a pool. I've got 3 kids, each have a pool. I'm buying them one for Christmas." I
What a great dad.
I love an old man who did that. B, it really does say a lot. So
Yeah.
he did squeeze me down on price a little bit. I let that slide, but it was only a few percent, just rounded it down basically because I figure, 3 at once. And
Well, really, you've
I
sold
didn't have
one
to install
customer
them.
4.
Yeah, I didn't have to install it or anything because he said, "Oh no, I want it left in the box so they can unwrap them." So
That's great.
I want more customers like that.
Absolutely. But that this conversation leads me along the lines of other product lines that you actually see companies jump on the bandwagon of. And so robotic pool cleaners were certainly one of those. The market was predominantly held by Maytronics for probably a couple of decades. They were they weren't popular, they weren't common in the early years, but obviously in the last 15 to 20 years, they've got a lot more common. But mineral pools, how many versions of minerals are there out on the market now? It is nuts.
And what gets me is a lot of them won't actually disclose what active constituents they've got.
Yes, that annoys me too.
I like to know what I'm adding to a customer's pool. But and they all make the claims as to why theirs is the best. Even when it's a company with more than one blend of minerals, they will say this one's the best, and then you'll look at the next one in their range. Oh, this one's the best. Well, make your minds up, people. We saw a similar trend many years ago with saltwater chlorinators, where everyone just seemed to all of a sudden jump onto salt systems. And since the mineral pools have become more popular, we've seen so many chlorinators that previously were sold as saltwater chlorinators. They've got the identical unit, but now they slap a different label on the front of it and it says mineral chlorinator. When a customer's looking at getting minerals in their pool, the first thing I say is, right, salt chlorinator, mineral chlorinator, exactly the same thing. And they seem amazed because do a Google search for it. You'll see them have on there, oh, this is a salt chlorinator, that's a mineral chlorinator. Well, no, that's not how it works.
I think there have been a few brands that are a little bit different. And I think it comes down to cell production, because I myself have a AIS, so Australian Innovative Systems, manufactured in Brisbane. It was a mineral chlorinator. It actually has 2 cells, so 2 chlorinating cells, and it works off a low TDS level. So, and it actually worked off straight magnesium initially when we put it in, and I've probably spoken about it previously in our podcast. But yeah, I think because of the low levels, it needed the 2 cells to generate enough chlorine because it was working off a low TDS level. But they no longer, their current mineral chlorinator no longer has 2 electrodes. It has 1. It's back to 1.
Yeah, so most of the low TDS models basically just have 1 cell that I've seen. But a lot of chlorinators, particularly digital chlorinators, not the old analog, or not the, I won't say old, not the analog types, digital ones, when you go through the setup menu, it asks you if you're using salt or minerals.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a different setting there, but largely they're interchangeable.
I wonder if that changes the TDS that it's looking for when, because a lot of those digital models do actually test for the TDS level, or the conductivity.
Conductivity, yeah. Yeah.
Let's say. And so therefore, whether that changes that setting when you change that, or whether it's purely that by selecting mineral that it's actually going to say on the screen your minerals are low instead of the word your salt's low. So
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Is there actually something technical in the background, or is it just a word? That's what I'd be interested in. I suppose that that question will differ depending on the brand of the chlorinator. So but we all know that you can put minerals in any saltwater chlorinated pool. It'll still produce chlorine gas.
Yeah.
And you're still very pro magnesium yourself, Lee?
Me? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I've well, over the time that I've had my pool, my pool's never been straight salt. But I started off as straight magnesium, because that's what we were told we could do with that chlorinator. So I tested it to that limit, and that was great, as long as your pH doesn't get high, because then the magnesium will actually precipitate and flock out. And it's and like often a question, you get that cloud on the bottom of the pool. It almost looks like a fog down the bottom, and it just, your pH is high. So once your pH goes back into level and you circulate the water, it does return back to normal. Magnesium being a natural flocculant, the water looks lovely and clear. But the feeling for me, it was about the feel of the water. One of my sons has severe eczema, and I think I've talked about this on the show, and I have naturally curly hair, which responds terribly to salt water, absolutely horrendously to salt water. And so my son finds that when he swims in the mineral pool, so we have over the years converted our pool from straight magnesium, and look, through winter I actually threw in a few bags of salt to tide it over. The magnesium's there for me, not for well, yes, it produces chlorine gas and that, but I could do that with salt through winter. So that's what I would do, because it's cheaper. And then once we got to summer, I'd switch back to magnesium. Then when Matronics Australia brought out Mineral Swim again, because it was originally brought out by Poolrite way back when. That was they were the ones that brought it to market in Australia, and so when Matronics brought it out, because a few of those guys had a Poolrite background and connections, and obviously Israel being the Dead Sea, Matronics based in Israel, that was able to be facilitated, and Matronics brought out Dead Sea Minerals, and so I then changed my pool over to Dead Sea Minerals. I have more recently just gone back to using a combination of Dead Sea Minerals and magnesium, because I no longer have ready access to Dead Sea Minerals when you don't own a pool shop. So anymore. So but for me it was all about the feel. Transdermal absorption obviously of magnesium for your therapeutic benefits, but for my son it really helped his eczema, made big improvements. He's actually, I have to say, lives in Canberra where I am at the moment now, so he doesn't get to swim in our pool as often as he used to. He was a little fish when he was younger, but now he actually bathes in Dead Sea Minerals. We actually do buy it for him, and he puts it in his bath and he soaks in it, and it really helps his eczema. So, but for me, for my hair, like if I got out of a pool that was a saltwater pool, my hair would just be a rat's nest. I wouldn't be able to put a comb through it. I'd have to have a shower and condition my hair to actually get a comb through it. Minerals, yeah, a magnesium pool, dead sea mineral pool, doesn't matter what it is. I can get out of the pool, put a comb straight through my hair, not a problem. Don't even have to have a shower. And that's what I like about it.
Yep.
But Shane, you have done some training recently. I went to an interesting seminar about minerals. Can you enlighten us on anything there?
So yeah, it was a Fluidra training day today, in fact, and it was really good. It's probably about 40 attendees that turned up, so it was a good turnout. They were going over obviously some of their products. A lot of it was at the beginning of the session. A lot of it was down to minerals. It was quite interesting to see how many products they do have that they're actually selling. 5 different bags of minerals. Now they all have different blends of magnesium, potassium, sodium chlorides, all different ratios.
Zinc from memory.
Hold on. Don't think I've seen a zinc one. Let me get back to you on that one.
So did they actually give you a list? Did they give you a list of the percentages?
They put it up on the projector screen, and they had the 5 bags on there with the ratios of what each bag has.
Good. Well, at least they're being clear about that, because there are some manufacturers out there that don't tell us what's in their blends.
Yes,
and that's really hard.
And I'm sure you could find it on their website on the SDS sheets as well. So yeah, that was quite interesting seeing that they're having a rebranding at the moment. I'm not sure if you're aware they brought their Halo system on the market recently, so it seems like they're really pushing for this particular chlorinator to really take off. I'm sure it has. I've seen a few of them around myself, but they're branding, the specific bags of minerals to complement the Halo system as well. They've also got their Magna Pool on the market. So there was some very interesting questions to be had. If do these products actually contain any therapeutical benefits? This is something that they are going to get back to me on. JP, the guy there, is going to send me some documentation on this. So apparently it's a light read of, 300 pages, as they are.
Just some light reading.
Just some light reading. But I mean, in regards to that part, it was actually quite interesting, because I haven't used a huge amount of magnesium in the past, and when I have used it, when it's going into the swimming pools, I'm not the one that's actually bathing in the pool. So you're trying to get first-hand reactions from the customer that you are supplying it to. But back then, I didn't have a company. I was working for somebody. So it may be something that we can look into now that we have our own company. If this particular client wants a bit more of a therapeutic bathing experience, or if they do have some very irritable skin conditions. I know myself, years ago, I suffered very badly from eczema. So if there are clients like this, it's really great that you can actually promote these products, as you said, Lee. But I've also found that with soap. So there's been a couple of my clients which have had, their children have had skin conditions. We've converted from chlorine over to soap, and they say the kids' skin is just cleared up. They can swim. So I guess you need to look into, whether you want to promote soaps or whether you want to promote a magnesium or a potassium product
Mhm.
going forward. You know, there's a very big price difference between the two
Yes.
and three of them. So I guess it boils down to what the client is going to be looking for at the end of the day.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, there was a lot on water chemistry. They dug really deep into the saturation index,
Oh, good.
which
Good.
was really good. Yeah, excuse me, because everybody's having to put their hands up when you know, the presenter's asking questions. Who here checks the temperature? You know, there were 3 people out of like 40 which are
3
putting their
people out of
hands.
40.
Yeah. So you know, you can see that it's still, there's still a lot more education that needs to be put out there.
Mm.
People are willing to go to these training events, which is great. You know, we've seen ourselves at Spaza. Our chemical company does it, Poolwise. They have a big turnout. Fluidra's doing it. So you can see people's proactiveness and they want to learn. So I guess it's all about having the right material that you're
Mhm.
Mm.
going to teach the students. But yeah, the whole saturation index topic was very good. Mm. So yeah, I mean, even you know, they were discussing if your swimming pool is a mineral pool, a magnesium or a potassium, you know, what ranges should you have your magnesium level? And so this is something that we discussed maybe about 2 months ago, I think, on
About
a
that, yeah.
podcast. So they're recommending your magnesium level should be between 6 and 800. So that's the ideal range for
Mm.
magnesium, which again was a bit of a grey area for a lot of people. Your salinity
6 and 800 for magnesium.
for magnesium.
Okay.
Yep.
But then, and I suppose then that all comes into play with total hardness and calcium hardness, and yeah,
Mhm.
people actually differentiating between the two.
Yes.
Mm.
So yeah.
And even there, you know, there were many people which again didn't realize the difference between total hardness, calcium hardness, magnesium hardness. So it was a very good session, that one.
And just to add another one to the mix, depending on how you're actually testing the water, if you're using a Palintest photometer, you actually need to test it with calcium calcol salt. So if you've got a Palintest 9 or a Palintest 24, there's another test on there other than straight calcium hardness. You need to make sure that you're using the calcol salt test. So I think on the 9 it's 8.8, and on the 24 it's test 34. It's either that or the other way around. So once you press the button 8 twice and it comes up, or the other unit it's 3 and 4. But yeah, it's important to make sure that you do take that into account, because of course sodium chloride, calcium chloride, we need to make sure that it's the machine knows that you're dealing with a saltwater pool to make that adjustment. It's actually interesting. We're going a little bit off topic here, but it's interesting all the little facets of water testing that people aren't aware of, because they put it in a disc and they spin it and they trust that the disc is going to spit out the right results, or they test water because that's how they've been shown, but they actually don't understand things like how salt can affect a calcium hardness reading, how adjusted alkalinity exists. And so you've got total alkalinity, but does your software actually take into account the cyanuric acid level and give you an adjusted alkalinity? And then of course the Langelier scale index or saturation index, and how that plays into water balance. And of course, as part of that is temperature, as you mentioned. So there's a little bit more to just testing water, so that some people don't realize. So.
And also it's important that anyone testing water understands the way that works, because if you get a reading that's incorrect, you want to be able to pick, hang on, something's really out of whack here.
Yeah.
Accounting
You need to be able to interpret
exactly.
the test results, read between the lines. Yep.
Yeah. We've had some where, I've had a technician ring me saying, I've just sent you through the test results. What's going on here? It's like, good, you picked it. And then you sit around scratching your head thinking, why the hell is that like that? Things like if there's an extremely high chlorine level, free chlorine above 20 parts per million, on some tests it'll bring out a 0 reading on the alkalinity. Things like that. If you're using a strip, God forbid, or a dropper bottle to test your free chlorine, if it's 0, does that mean it's 0? Does it mean it's over 10, 13, 14, whatever it may be? So having that understanding, I think, is critical for any of us.
But that's a completely different topic than what we were talking about.
That it is. We're good at that.
We do that all the time. So, yeah, I suppose going back to the whole mineral side of things, yes, there's lots of different companies that have a variety of products, mineral products. So you were saying Fluidra have 5 different labels. I know several of them that have at least 2, if not 3. So regardless of the manufacturer that you deal with, I would say to you as retailers and service technicians is do the research, ask the questions, know what you're selling your clients, because the other benefit is when somebody comes in and they actually ask for another product that you don't have, that you can then sell them something that's a similar substitute. Unfortunately, it's not always easy because not all manufacturers give away what's actually in their magic magnesium blend, but we can try.
That we can.
But that's another one that lots of companies have jumped on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
One company bought it out, Poolrite originally, and then Maytronics and Fluidra under the Zodiac label, they bought Magnapool as it stood from Poolrite. They bought that Poolrite label. So yeah, and then like now there's barely a company around that doesn't have a mineral blend or a magnesium blend. So education is key.
Yes, 100%. I think we've been waffling on long enough for today.
You have.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone out there on the interwebs for listening. Please send any questions you have, any topic requests. The address is talkingpools@gmail.com, and we will do our best. But in the meantime, you guys have a bloody good week. Hooroo.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.